Welcome. In this session, we will understand following key biostatistics concepts in a clear and practical manner. You can locate the timestamp of each MCQ in description.
Multiple choice question number 1.
A standard urine screening test to detect alcohol has sensitivity of 95%, a specificity of 92%, and a positive predictive value of 90% and negative predictive value of 95%. Recent data indicates that use of alcohol in all age groups has declined since the properties of screening tests were determined. A decline in alcohol usage will have following impact on results of screening test. A. Increase the sensitivity. B. Increase the specificity. C. Decrease the sensitivity. D. Decrease the specificity. E. Increase the negative predictive value.
The correct answer is E. Increase the negative predictive value. Sensitivity and specificity are considered stable characteristics of the test and are not influenced by changes in disease prevalence. Predictive values, however, depend directly on prevalence. When alcohol use prevalence decreases, the PPV decreases because fewer positive test results will be true positives, alcohol users, and the NPV increases because a negative result is more likely to be a true negative. There are simply fewer users in the population.
Multiple choice question number 2.
For membership of a club in a town, only those persons who have a documented IQ score of 2 standard deviation above the mean are eligible. Of a group of 200 people randomly selected from the population at large, how many would be eligible for membership of the club? A. 1, B. 2, C. 3, D. 4, E. 5.
Correct choice is E. IQ scores follow a normal distribution centered around a mean of 100 with a standard deviation of 15. This means most people have IQ scores near 100 and fewer people have very high or very low scores, forming a bell-shaped curve. When the club requires an IQ 2SD above the mean for membership, that corresponds to an IQ score of mean plus 2 times SD equals 100 plus 2 times 15 equals 130. What proportion exceeds 130? In a normal distribution, about 95% of scores lie within plus or minus 2 SD, between 70 and 130. Thus, about 5% lie outside this range. Since the distribution is symmetric, half of this 5%, or 2.5%, lie above 130. Application to 200 people. To find how many in a group of 200 people have IQ greater than 130, 200 times 0.025 equals 5.
Multiple choice question number 3.
If diastolic BP in a population has a mean of 95 millimeters of mercury and median of 100, the distribution is A. Negatively skewed, B. Positively skewed, C. Symmetrical, D. Skewedness depends on SD, E. Right skewed.
Answer A. When the mean is less than the median in a distribution, it indicates a left-skewed, negatively skewed distribution. Skewness describes the asymmetry of the distribution curve. In a negatively skewed distribution, the tail on the left side, or lower values, is longer or fatter than the right side. The bulk of values tend to cluster on the right side, closer to the higher median. Since the mean is pulled towards the tail, it is less than the median in a negative skew. In this example, the diastolic blood pressure mean is 95 millimeters of mercury, and the median is 100 millimeters of mercury, which is mean less than median, which suggests the distribution is negatively skewed. For symmetrical distribution, mean equals median equals mode. Positively skewed distribution happens when the mean is greater than the median. Skewedness does not depend on standard deviation or sample size alone, but on the shape of the distribution and relative positions of mean, median, and mode. Right skewed is synonymous with positively skewed.
Multiple choice question number 4.
For a group of 250 subjects, the 40th percentile would be the following value: A, 10th, B, 40th, C, 100th, D, 120th, or E, 140th.
For a group of 250 subjects, the 40th percentile is the value below which 40% of the observations lie in a dataset. It corresponds to the ordinal position calculated as P40 equals 1 plus n minus 1 times 0.40, where n is the total number of subjects. For 250 subjects, P40 equals 1 plus 251 minus 1 times 0.40 equals 1 plus 259 times 0.40 equals 1 plus 99.6 equals 100.6. Rounding to the nearest whole number, the corresponding value is at the 101st position, approximately. Among the options, 100 is closest, but the exact value is about the 101st subject. This means that the 40th percentile corresponds to the subject ranked around the 100th position in an ordered list of 250 subjects.
Multiple choice question number 5.
In a study, first medical colleges are sampled, then departments within those colleges, and finally students within those departments. This type of sampling is called A. Simple random sampling, B. Multistage sampling, C. Stratified sampling, D. Cluster sampling, E. Convenient sampling.
The correct answer is B. The sampling method described, where first medical colleges are sampled, then departments within those colleges, and finally students within those departments, is called multistage sampling. It involves selecting samples in multiple hierarchical stages. Each stage involves sampling progressively smaller units from larger groups. This approach is practical for studies with large and geographically dispersed populations. It reduces logistical challenges and costs by narrowing down the samples step by step, rather than sampling individuals directly from the whole population. Different sampling techniques can be used at each stage. For example, cluster sampling at stage 1, simple random sampling at stage 2, etc. Simple random sampling selects individuals directly from the population in one step. Stratified sampling involves dividing the population into strata and sampling from each stratum. Cluster sampling selects entire clusters or groups, but does not go into further subsampling stages. Convenience sampling relies on easily accessible subjects, not a planned sampling scheme.